Hi, this is Sarah from Sarah's Hooks and Loops and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can crochet your very own little Santa. In this video you will find the full tutorial of how to make your Santa, but before we get started, let's go through the materials that you will need. I have used Ricorumi's Cotton DK yarn, but you can use any yarn of your own choice. Let's go through the colours that I've used. White, red, pastel pink, pink, gold, and a small amount of white chenille yarn. You will also need a 2.25mm crochet hook, some pins, a pair of scissors, a stitch marker and a tapestry needle, embroidery thread for his eyes, and some toy stuffing. Okay, let's make a start on our Santa. To start, we'll make the head first, and we'll need pastel pink yarn. First up, we need to make a magic ring. And we'll make 6 single crochet into the magic ring for round 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and close. And this completes round 1. For round 2, we need to make an increase into each of the 6 single crochet stitches that we made in round 1. So we'll make the first increase, and the second increase, and repeat this sequence all the way around until you've reached 12 stitches. At the end of round 2, you should have 12 stitches in your round. For round 3, we'll make a sequence of 1 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times all the way around to create 18 stitches. One single crochet, 1 increase. And repeat this sequence all the way around until you've reached 18 stitches. At the end of round 3, you should have 18 stitches in your round. For round 4, we'll make a sequence of 2 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times all the way around the round to create 24 stitches. So we'll start with 1 single crochet, 2, and an increase, and we'll place our stitch marker 1, 2, 3, 4, and repeat this sequence all the way around. At the end of round 4, you should have 24 stitches in your round. For round 5, we'll make a sequence of 3 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times all the way around to create 30 stitches. So we'll make 1, 2, 3 single crochet and 1 increase. And place your stitch marker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And repeat that sequence all the way around. At the end of round 5, you would have completed 30 stitches. For round 6, we'll make a sequence of 4 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times in the round to create 36 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase. And mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And repeat this sequence all the way around until you've created 36 stitches. At the end of round 6, you would have created 36 stitches in your round. For round 7, we'll make a sequence of 5 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times in the round to create 42 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3. Just going to mark my stitch. 2, 3. Continue that one's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochet and 1 increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've reached 42 stitches. At the end of round 7, you will have 42 stitches in your round. For round 8, we'll make a sequence of 6 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times all the way around the round to create 48 stitches. This is 1, 2, 3. Place my stitch marker. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, and 6, and an increase. And repeat this sequence all the way around until you've reached 48 stitches. At the end of round 8, you would have created 48 stitches. For round 9, we'll create a sequence of 7 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times in the round to create 54 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3. Just place the stitch marker. 1, 2, 3. And continue that sequence. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and an increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've reached 54 stitches. At the end of round 9, you would have created 54 stitches in your round. For the next 9 rounds, we'll make rounds of 54 single crochet. That's rounds 10 to 18. And at the end of round 18, we'll change over to white. So let's make a start. 1, 2, 3. And place your stitch marker. And continue to make single crochets in the round until you've reached round 18. I'll meet you at the end of round 18. Before we finish round 18, we'll stop at the last stitch so we can change over the white. You can change the white in any method that you prefer, but here's how I do mine. So I insert my hook to make a single crochet and pull up the loop so I have 2 loops on the hook. I'm then going to connect the white in the last step of the single crochet. So hook it over your hook and pull it through the 2 loops. And then just tie the tails to secure it in place. And then we're going to disconnect the pink. So finish with the pink now. Hide the tails inside. And we have the white connected, all ready for round 19. For rounds 19 to 22, that's 4 rounds, we're going to make 54 single crochet into each round. There's 1, 2, 3, and place your stitch marker. And continue to make the single crochets all the way around until you reach the end of round 22, and then we'll move on to our decrease rounds. I'll see you at the end of round 22. Now that we have completed the 4 rounds of 54 single crochet in white, we'll move on to round 23. In round 23, we'll make 4 single crochet and 1 decrease 9 times in the round to create 45 stitches. We'll make a start. 1, 2, 3 and 4 single crochet and an invisible decrease. And we'll just mark our first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And repeat the sequence all the way around until you've made 45 stitches. At the end of round 23, you should have 45 stitches in your round. For round 24, we'll make a sequence of 3 single crochet and 1 decrease 9 times in the round to create 36 stitches. One, 2 and 3 single crochet and an invisible decrease. And mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. And continue the sequence all the way around until you've created 36 stitches. At the end of round 24, you would have created 36 stitches in your round. For round 25, we'll make a sequence of 4 single crochet and 1 decrease 6 times in the round to create 30 stitches. So that's 1, 2 single crochet, 3, 4 single crochet and an invisible decrease. And mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And repeat this sequence all the way around until you've completed 30 stitches. At the end of round 25, you would have created 30 stitches in your round. We're now going to pause so we can start stuffing the head. It's important at this stage not to overstuff your head and have it all popping out the top, because we've still got some rounds to finish off. So I like to leave enough space so that I can push my finger on top of the stuffing and make my final rounds. But as I'm working my final rounds, I will top up the stuffing as I go until we've completely finished. Let's move on to the next round. For round 26, we'll make a sequence of 3 single crochet and 1 decrease 6 times in the round to create 24 stitches. One, 2, 3 single crochet and 1 invisible decrease. And place your first stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4. And continue the sequence all the way around until you've created 24 stitches. At the end of round 26, you would have created 24 stitches in your round. Before we move on, I'm just going to top up this stuffing. Now we've topped up his stuffing, his head is now starting to take shape. We'll now move on to round 27. For round 27, we'll make a sequence of 2 single crochet and 1 decrease 6 times in the round to create 18 stitches. 1, 2, an invisible decrease, and place your stitch marker, 1, 2, 3, and repeat the sequence all the way around until you've completed 18 stitches. At the end of round 27, you would have created 18 stitches in your round. For round 28, we'll make a sequence of 1 single crochet and 1 decrease to create 12 stitches in the round. 1 single crochet, and 1 invisible decrease. Repeat the sequence all the way around until you've created 12 stitches. At the end of round 28, you would have created 12 stitches in your round. But before we move on to the final round, we're just going to top the stuffing up. As the hole is quite small, I like to use a wooden skewer just to push in the final bit of stuffing before I close. Now we've finished topping up the stuffing, we'll move on to the final round, round 29. In round 29, we'll make a sequence of 6 decreases, which will make 6 stitches. 1 decrease, 2 decreases, 2 and repeat the decreases all the way around until you've got 6 stitches. In round 29, you would have created 6 stitches in your round. It's now time to fasten off and close up the hole. So we cut off the yarn, and thread the tail onto a tapestry needle. And we're going to be going through the front loops only of the 6 stitches from the last round. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches, and go into your first one under the front loop only. And then go under your second one, 2, and the third, 3, 4th, 5th, and then your final one, number 6. And then you're going to gently pull on the tail to close up the hole. And weave in the tail. Now that you've weaved in the tail, the head is complete. We'll now move on to make Santa's moustache and beard. We'll start off by making Santa's moustache, and we'll need 2 parts for this. You'll need to start with the white yarn and make a magic ring. And into this magic ring, you're going to make 4 single crochet for round 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, and close. and that completes round 1. For round 2, we need to make a sequence of 1 increase and 1 single crochet 2 times in the round to create 6 stitches. So in the first stitch we'll make an increase, and in the second stitch 1 single crochet, and repeat that so you've got 6 stitches in your round for round 2. At the end of round 2, you should have 6 stitches in your round. For round 3, we'll make a sequence of 1 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to make 9 stitches. There's 1 single crochet and 1 increase, and repeat this sequence all the way around until you've got 9 stitches. At the end of round 3, you should have 9 stitches in your round. For round 4, we'll make a sequence of 2 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 12 stitches. There's 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and 1 increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around to create 12 stitches. At the end of round 4, you should have 12 stitches in your round. For round 5, we'll make a sequence of 3 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 15 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3 single crochet and 1 increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've created 15 stitches. At the end of round 5, you should have 15 stitches in your round. For round 6 to 8, we'll make 3 rounds of 15 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch, and continue the single crochet all the way around until you've reached the end of round 8. I'll meet you at the end of round 8. Now that we have completed 3 rounds of 15 single crochet, we'll move on to round 9. In round 9, we'll make a sequence of 3 single crochets and 1 decrease 3 times to create 12 stitches in the round. 1, 2, 3, and an invisible decrease. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've reached 12 stitches. At the end of round 9, you should have 12 stitches in your round. For round 10, we'll make 6 decreases to create 6 stitches in the round. One decrease, 2 decreases, and continue the decreases all the way around until you've reached 6 stitches. At the end of round 10, you should have 6 stitches in your round, and that completes the first part of your moustache. So what we need to do now is just fasten off with a long tail, and thread the tail onto a tapestry needle. And as we did with the head, we're going to be closing this final round by going through the front loops only of the 6 stitches. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll go into this first stitch under the front loop, and then into the second stitch, third, 4th, 5th, and the last one, number 6. And gently pull the tail to close the opening. Now we're not going to be weaving in the tail, we'll use this to attach it to the face later on. And repeat the whole process so that you have 2 pieces for the moustache. Now we'll move on to make the beard. For the beard you'll need the white yarn, and we're going to be making a magic ring. And into this magic ring you will make 6 single crochet for round 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then close your magic ring. And this completes round 1. For round 2, we'll make a sequence of 1 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 9 stitches. So there's 1 single crochet and 1 increase, and repeat this sequence all the way around. At the end of round 2, you should have 9 stitches in your round. For round 3, we'll make a sequence of 2 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 12 stitches. 1, 2, and 1 increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around. At the end of round 3, you should have 12 stitches in your round. For round 4, we'll make a sequence of 1 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times in the round to create 18 stitches. There's 1 single crochet and 1 increase. Place your stitch marker 1, 2, 3 in your first stitch. And repeat this sequence all the way around until you've created 18 stitches. At the end of round 4, you should have 18 stitches in your round. For round 5, we'll make a sequence of 2 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times in the round to create 24 stitches. 1 single crochet, 2, and 1 increase. Place your stitch marker in the first stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4. And repeat this sequence all the way around until you've created 24 stitches. At the end of round 5, you should have 24 stitches in your round. For round 6, we'll make a sequence of 3 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times in the round to create 30 stitches. So 1, 2, 3 single crochet and 1 increase. And place your stitch marker in the first stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And repeat this sequence all the way around until you've created 30 stitches. At the end of round 6, you should have 30 stitches in your round. For round 7, we'll make a round of 30 single crochets. So it's a single crochet in each stitch all the way around. There's 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue with single crochets all the way around until you've reached the end of the round. At the end of round 7, you should have 30 stitches in your round. For round 8, we'll make a sequence of 4 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times in the round to create 36 stitches. 1 single crochet, 2, 3, and 4 single crochet, and 1 increase. Mark your first stitch, 1, 2, 3, 6, and repeat the sequence all the way around until you've created 36 stitches. At the end of round 8, you should have 36 stitches in your round. For round 9, we'll make a sequence of 5 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times in the round to create 42 stitches. 1, 2, 3 single crochet. Just going to mark my first stitch. There's 1, 2, 3. Continue that sequence, 4 and 5, and an increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've created 42 stitches. At the end of round 9, you should have 42 stitches in your round. For round 10, we'll make a sequence of 6 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times in the round to create 48 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Mark my first stitch. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, and 6, and 1 increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've created 48 stitches. At the end of round 10, you should have 48 stitches in your round. For round 11 to 12, that's 2 rounds, we're going to make 48 single crochet in each round. 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3. And continue to make single crochets all the way around for 2 rounds, and I'll meet you at the end of round 12. Once you have completed rounds 11 and 12, you should now have 48 stitches in your round. For round 13, we're going to close the beard. The beard isn't stuffed, so what we're going to do is flatten the piece, and we're going to be making a single crochet through from the front stitch to the back stitch as a corresponding stitch. So first what you need to do is insert your hook under the first single crochet and then the corresponding single crochet at the back, and make a single crochet. So for the next one, you'll go through the next single crochet and the corresponding stitch at the back and make a single crochet. And repeat this all the way across until you've completed 24 stitches. At the end of round 13, you would have created 24 stitches to close your beard. We're now going to move on to do a row. So we're going to chain 1 at the end of round 13 and turn your work. And we're going to make 1 single crochet into each of the stitches created in round 13. So that's 24 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and continue to single crochet until you reach the end. At the end of row 14, you would have created 24 stitches, and that completes the beard. So all we need to do now is just fasten off with a long tail. And now you have your full beard and moustache. Next, we need to embroider the facial details before we attach the beard and moustache. And we'll start off by marking the positions of the eyes. So the eyes are made over round 16 of the head, so we'll count from the top 16 rounds down. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and we'll place our first pin. For the second pin, it's 4 stitches back from this first one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the arch is in the middle of these 2 pins here and 1 round up, so it's central to those 2 pins. For the eyelashes, for the first one, we'll go 1 stitch across from this pin here and 1 stitch up and place your pin. And for the second eyelash, from this second pin here, we go 1 stitch up and place the pin. And that completes the markings for the first eye. For the second eye, we will count 6 stitches across from this first pin here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just make sure that these 2 pins are in the same round. And from this first pin here, we'll work 4 stitches back, 1, 2, 3, 4, and place the second pin. And for the arch of the eye, which is central between these 2 and 1 stitch up, place the third pin. And for the eyelashes, there's 1 stitch across and 1 stitch up from this pin here. And for the second eyelash, is 1 stitch up from this second pin here. And that completes the markings for the eyes. We'll now go ahead and embroider the eyes together. To embroider the eyes, we need to use a black embroidery thread. So thread a length onto a tapestry needle and insert it into the side of the head. And we want to bring out the needle at the first pin and make a stitch through to the second pin. So from the first to the second. And leave a tail for securing the tails later when we're finished. So we're taking it into this second pin here, and then you want to bring it out at the third pin. So go in at the second pin and out at the third. And before we pull it in tight, we just need to take the needle underneath the stitch and loop it over and take the needle back into this stitch here and bring it out to the first lash here. So we're going to go into here and come out this first lash. And gently pull the eye up so it creates an arch in the eye. Then take the needle back in at the end of the eye here and bring it out to this last pin here, which is the second eyelash. And and you want to put your needle into this stitch here and bring it out to the second eye. So you're going to put the needle into there and bring it out to the second eye. And that completes one eye. Repeat the process for the second eye. Now that you've completed the second eye, take the tail end out at the stitch in which you started, and we're going to secure the tail ends. What you need to do is make a couple of knots in the threads. And trim the tails off and hide it inside the head by using the tip of your needle and gently just pulling the tail through, and use the needle again just to close up any gaps that you might have created. And that completes the eyes. We'll now move on to make the nose. The nose is made centrally between the eyes one round down, between rounds 17 and 18, and we'll use the eyes to mark the position of the nose. So by going on the edge of the eye here, we'll go one stitch down and one stitch across to place your first pin. The nose is 4 stitches wide, so we'll count 4 stitches across, 1, 2, 3, 4, and place the second pin. And it should be 1 stitch away from the second eye. And that completes the markings of the nose. For the nose, we'll need to use a darker colour pink compared to what we used for the head. I've used a blush yarn, but I'm also going to use this for the cheeks. So I've taken a long length and threaded it onto a tapestry needle, and we're going to insert the needle into the side of the head here and bring it out at the first pin. Make sure you leave a tail for securing the tails later on, and we're simply going to make a stitch into this second pin here and bring it back out at the beginning of the nose. And we're going to repeat that stitch again. And now what we'll do is wrap the yarn around these 2 stitches by taking the yarn under and over the nose. So we'll take the needle under the nose and over and under. So we're wrapping the yarn around those 2 stitches. And you want to keep the tension consistent and make sure that the yarn is sitting side by side and not on top of each other. And continue this process until you've completely covered the stitch. And when you finish the nose, you can adjust any of the yarn with the tip of your needle, and you can pull on the tail as well just to tighten the nose up a little bit. You don't want it too tight. Okay, once you've finished, we'll take the yarn needle through to the end here of the nose and bring it out at the cheek, one round down from the eye. That's 1 stitch below the eyelash. and we're simply just going to make a stitch, 1 stitch wide, and repeat it again, and bring it out 1 stitch below the second die in the same place, and that completes one side of the cheek. And again over 1 stitch, and repeat, and this time bring it out at the starting tail here on the other side of the head. And that completes his nose and cheeks. Go ahead and secure and hide the tails inside the head. Now that you've secured the tails for the nose and cheeks and hidden them inside the head, we'll go ahead and make the eyebrows. So before we make them, we'll mark out the position. So the eyebrows are made over round 13 of the head, but we'll use the eye as a starting point. So from the eyelash, the last eyelash here, we'll go up 2 stitches directly above it. So it's 1, 2, and mark our first pin. And the eyebrow is 3 stitches wide at a slight angle. So we'll count over 1, 2, 3 and go up 1 stitch. And that completes the marking of the first eyebrow. Repeat the marking on the other side. Now that you've finished marking out the position of the eyebrows, we'll go ahead and embroider them on. For the eyebrows, you'll need to use a white DK yarn and thread a long length onto a tapestry needle. And we're simply going to be making a double stitch for each eyebrow. So we'll go into the side of the head, and we'll bring it out at one of the pins, and leave a tail for securing the tails later on when we're finished. And you're simply going to make a stitch into this second pin here. And back out where you started. And repeat the stitch and bring the needle out at the other side for the second eyebrow. And repeat for the second eyebrow. So we'll make a double stitch here. And bring the tail out to the starting tail so we can secure the tails after we've finished. And that completes the eyebrows. Go ahead and secure the tails and hide them inside of the head. We'll now move on to attach the beard and moustache, starting with the beard first. I've marked out the position of where I'm going to place my beard, which is between rounds 19 and 20. So place your pins between 19 and 20, making sure there's 24 stitches between the first and the last pin. And make sure that it's equal on each side so it's sitting central to the face. Once you've marked out the position of the beard, we'll go ahead and attach it. Make sure when you're attaching the beard, you work across in a straight line with the stitches, and you're tightening the stitches as you go along. So as you've made a few, go in and use the tip of your needle and just tighten up these stitches as you work. And then continue to work in a straight line until you've completely attached the beard. Now that you've attached the beard, just pinch the bottom of the beard and pull it forward slightly to make the beard look fuller. We'll now move on to attach the moustache. When attaching the moustache, we need to make sure that the two closing rounds of each part are meeting up each other underneath the nose. So we need to position them centrally below the nose and at a slight angle. But when we're attaching them, we only need to attach using the underside of the moustache, so not going all the way through to the front, but only on the underside, and attach it in a circle, leaving this part unattached at the end. So in a circle here and leave this part unattached. So it gives his moustache a fuller look. So put them into position and pin them in place, and when you're happy, you can go ahead and attach them. Now that we have finished attaching the beard and moustache, we'll move on to make the hat. For the hat, I'm going to show you how to make the striped version. So we'll be alternating a red and white. But if you prefer just a solid red hat, just skip the colour changes and follow the pattern as I go. For the striped version of the hat, we need to use a red and white yarn, and we'll be starting off with the red first. So we need to start by making a magic ring. And into this magic ring, we'll make 6 single crochet for the first round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and we'll close the magic ring. And that completes round 1. For round 2, we need to make a sequence of 1 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 9 stitches. But on the last stitch of the round, we need to attach the white so that we can make the stripes. So we'll start with a 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet, and an increase. But of the last single crochet, we're just going to make the first step with the red, and then we'll attach the white for the last step. So we hook it over the hook and pull the white through the 2 loops. We're going to secure the tail at the back, but we're going to keep the white and the red attached throughout making the hat. So that connects the white, ready for the next round. And remember to keep both colours attached as we work throughout the hat. For round 3, we're going to make 9 single crochet in the round to create 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. and continue to single crochet until you complete the round of 9 stitches. For round 4, we're going to make a sequence of 2 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 12 stitches. There's 1, 2, and an increase, and mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again 1, 2, and an increase, and 1, 2, and on this last increase we're going to pick up the red so that we can make a red stripe. So in the last single crochet step we just do this first step in the white and then bring the red up so that we've now changed over to red, and that completes round 4. For round 5, we're going to make 12 single crochet in the round, so we'll create 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and mark the first stitch. And continue to single crochet until you've completed the round of 12 stitches. For round 6, we need to make a sequence of 3 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 15 stitches. But at the end of the round, before we complete the last stitch, make sure you pick up your white so the next stripe can be in white. So we'll crochet 1, 2, and 3, and 1 increase, mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and continue this sequence all the way around until you've created 15 stitches, and remember to change over to white at the end. For round 7, we're going to make 15 single crochet in the round and create 15 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue the single crochet all the way around until you have 15 stitches. For round 8, we'll make a sequence of 4 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 18 stitches, and on the last stitch we'll change over to red. 1, 2, 3, mark the first stitch. 1, 2, 3. Continue that sequence of 4 single crochet and 1 increase. And continue that sequence all the way around and change over to red on the last stitch. For round 9, we'll make 18 single crochet in the round to create 18 stitches. 1, 2, and 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've created 18 stitches. For round 10, we'll make a sequence of 5 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 21 stitches. And at the end of the round in the last stitch, we need to change over to white. So we're 1 single crochet, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. 4 single crochet, 5 single crochet, and 1 increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've created 21 stitches. For round 11, we need to make 21 single crochet in the round. So 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've completed 21 stitches. For round 12, we'll make a sequence of 6 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 24 stitches. And in the last stitch of the round, we need to change over to red. 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. Four, 5, 6 single crochet and 1 increase. And continue this sequence all the way around until you've created 24 stitches. And remember to change over to the red in the last stitch. For round 13, we're going to make 24 single crochet in the round and create 24 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've completed 24 stitches. For round 14, we need to make a sequence of 7 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 27 stitches. And in the last stitch, we'll change over to white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and an increase. And continue this sequence all the way around until you've created 27 stitches. And remember to change over to white in the last stitch. For round 15, we'll make 27 single crochet in the round, creating 27 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and place your stitch marker. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've created 27 stitches. For round 16, we need to make a sequence of 8 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 30 stitches. And at the end of the round, we need to change over to red. So 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue in that sequence. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1 increase. And continue that sequence all the way around until you've created 30 stitches. and remember to change over to red on the last stitch. For round 17, we'll make 30 single crochet in the round, creating 30 stitches. 1, 2, and 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've created 30 stitches. For round 18, we need to make a sequence of 9 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 33 stitches, and at the end of the round, in the last stitch, we need to change over to white. 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And an increase. And continue the sequence all the way around until you've reached 33 stitches. And remember to change over to white in the last stitch. For round 19, we need to make 33 single crochet in the round, creating 33 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've reached 33 stitches. For round 20, we need to make a sequence of 10 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 36 stitches. And at the end of this round, in the last stitch, you need to change over to red. So 1, 2, 3, and just mark the first stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 1 increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've completed 36 stitches. And in the last stitch, make sure to change over to red. For round 21, we're going to make 36 single crochet in the round, creating 36 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. 'And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've got 36 stitches. For round 22, we need to make a sequence of 11 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 39 stitches. And in the last stitch of the round, we need to change over to white. So there's 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 1 increase. And continue this sequence all the way around until you've reached 39 stitches, and make sure you change over to white in the last stitch. For round 23, we need to make 39 single crochet in the round. 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've reached 39 stitches. For round 24, we need to make a sequence of 12 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 42 stitches. And at the end of the round, in the last stitch, you need to change over to red. There's 1, 2, 3, mark your first stitch, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 1 increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've reached 42 stitches. And in the last stitch, remember to change over to red. For round 25, we need to make 42 single crochet in the round, creating 42 stitches. So 1 single crochet, 2, and 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way in the round until you've completed 42 stitches. For round 26, we need to make a sequence of 13 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 45 stitches. And in the last stitch, we need to change over to white. So there's 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, and 1 increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've created 45 stitches, and in the last stitch remember to change over to white. For round 27, we need to make 45 single crochet in the round, creating 45 stitches. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've reached 45 stitches. For round 28, we need to make a sequence of 14 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 48 stitches. And in the last stitch of the round, we need to change over to red. There's 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 1 increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've created 48 stitches, and remember to change over to red in the last stitch. For round 29, we need to make 48 single crochet in the round to create 48 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've reached 48 stitches. For round 30, we need to make a sequence of 15 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 51 stitches. And in the last stitch, we're going to change over to white. There's 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 1 increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've created 51 stitches, and remember to change over to white in the last stitch. For round 31, we need to make 51 single crochet in the round, creating 51 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've created 51 stitches. For round 32, we need to make a sequence of 16 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 54 stitches. And at the end of the round, in the last stitch, we need to change over to red. 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and an increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've created 54 stitches, and remember to change over to red in the last stitch. For round 33, we need to make 54 single crochet in the round, creating 54 stitches. 1, 2, and 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've reached 54 stitches. For round 34, we need to make a sequence of 17 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 57 stitches. And in the last stitch of the round, we'll change over to white. There's 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 1 increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've created 57 stitches. And remember to change over to white in the last stitch. In round 35, we need to make 57 single crochet, creating 57 stitches. So it's 1, 2, and 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've created 57 stitches. For round 36, we need to make a sequence of 18 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times in the round to create 60 stitches. And in the last stitch, we need to change over to red. This one will be your final increase round. So 1, 2, 3, and mark your first stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and an increase. And repeat that sequence all the way around until you've completed 60 stitches. And remember to change over to red in the last stitch. For rounds 37 to 42, that's 6 rounds, we're going to be making 60 single crochet in each round. And we're going to alternate those rounds in the colours red and white. So the next 2 rounds will be red, and then the 2 rounds after that will be white, and then the last 2 rounds will be red. But at the same time, you need to make sure that you check the size of the hat on the Santa. So as you're working your rounds, make sure that the hat doesn't come too far across onto the face. You want it so it sits before the face and leaving enough space for a chenille trim for the hat. This is one that's finished, and you can see that it sits just near the eyebrow once the chenille round is put on. So go ahead and make the rounds of single crochet and adjust the rounds accordingly to fit your Santa. And I'll meet you at the end of round 42. After you have finished round 42, try the hat on Santa's head. The hat should be sitting just above the eyebrow, so you've got enough space to do the chenille trim. So what we'll do now is we'll attach the chenille yarn in the last stitch of round 42. We'll fasten off the red with a long tail because you'll need the long tail to attach the hat to the head. And once we've attached the chenille yarn, we'll work round 43. Now that we have attached the white chenille yarn, we'll go ahead and make the final round for the trim, round 43. I'm also using the same size crochet hook as I did for the hat. So for round 43, we need to make 60 single crochet in the round, creating 60 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3, and mark your first stitch. And continue to single crochet all the way around until you've created 60 stitches. When you have finished round 43, fasten off the chenille yarn and weave in the tail, making sure that you leave the red tail for attaching the hat to the head. Your hat now should sit just above the eyebrows for Santa. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead to finish the hat off and make the pom-pom. You will need the white yarn to make your mini pom-pom for Santa's hat, and you can use any preferred method to make your pom-pom. The size of the pom-pom is approximately 3 centimeters in diameter. So I'm going to take you through how I create mine. You need to cut a long length of white yarn and leave it to one side. And then you want to take the white yarn and using your middle and index finger, hold the strand down and wrap the yarn around your 2 fingers approximately 80 times. Now this will make a really puffy pom-pom. So if you don't want it as full, you can wrap it around less, but I prefer to wrap it around 80 times. Once you've finished wrapping the yarn around your fingers, cut the tail and gently remove them off of your fingers. And with this long length of yarn we cut earlier, place the looped yarn over the top of the long length. And then what we're going to do is tie a knot here, tighten it and wrap it around and tie it again. So we'll bring the yarn around and tie it firmly in the middle, and we'll just tie it once, turn it over and bring the yarn tails to the front and tie it again. And make it quite firm. And then make another knot. And leave the long tails because we'll use those to attach the pom-pom to the hat. Now what you need to do is go ahead and cut all the loops. Now that you've cut all the loops, you need to go ahead and start trimming the pom-pom. So first off, you're going to just trim it down around the edge. And then you'll need to start trimming the pom-pom to get it more rounder and shorter, because it needs to be 3 centimeters in diameter. As I'm trimming the pom-pom, I like to pause and just fluff the pom-pom up as I go. It helps to split the yarn so that it becomes more fluffy. It also helps for you to be able to see any bits that need trimming off. And keep trimming and fluffing the pom-pom until you're happy with the final look. Once you have finished making your pom-pom and you're happy with the size and the finish, using the 2 long tails, attach it to the end of your hat. Now that you've attached the pom-pom to the hat, just place the hat back onto Santa's head. And we need to figure out where we're going to attach the hanging string. So you need to aim it so it's central to the face and on the head, so that when you're hanging the Santa from your tree, it hangs straight. So mark your position and remove the hat from the head when you're finished. To make the hanging string, we need to use the gold yarn. So take a length of the gold yarn and loop it over. And make it the size that you would like for your hanging string. And cut it. And with the tail ends, you want to make a double knot. And trim off those tails. And using your crochet hook, insert the hook into your marked position for your string on the hat. And loop over the gold yarn and pull it up through the hat. And that attaches your hanging string. Now that you've attached the hanging string, place the hat back onto Santa's head. And once you're happy with the position, go ahead and attach the hat going through the red stripe with the red yarn tail. Now that you've attached the hat, there's just one final step we need to make, and that's just to fold over Santa's hat. So we just fold it over and push on the top piece there and give it a bit of a squeeze, and it gives his fold in his hat. And that completes your Santa. I really hope you enjoyed making Santa today, and thank you so much for joining me. See you again soon.